Hey everyone, Sleepy Reader here. I just got back from the comic book store, walked over, got my new comics, picked up some focaccia bread at the expensive bakery that's near the comic book store. My daughter loves that focaccia bread. Any way to get calories in her. She is so skinny, and she'll like eat one little bite and think about it for a long time on most things. She'll gobble down the focaccia bread though. And then I got a bunch of comics. I only had a small amount on my pull, and I sort of looked over the other new comics on the rack and found quite a bit. I should have just gone with the small amount and used that as an excuse to catch up more with my other reading. But what can I say? For those who are curious, the total I spent was $44.75 with my 25% discount. So it didn't feel, it's a little on the high side for me. I think I normally spend about $30. But I've done some foolish spending. Yesterday, I received my winnings from eBay on this Spanish art book on Steranko. I assumed it was a big art book size coffee table book, and it's this tiny little thing. Let's see. Let's get a comic book out. There's a comic book compared to it. And the minimum bid was $30, and that's what I bid. I was the only one bidding. Maybe everyone else knew. There was nothing about the size of it that I could see. I went back and looked, but I shouldn't have assumed. I guess if something doesn't mention the size of a book, I should write them and ask them what the size of the book is. So there's so little Steranko material out there, I just thought, I'll just jump on this. I've got some money to spare, or probably not really to spare. I've been spending too much on eBay right now. eBay's kind of like potato chips lately for me. I've mostly been getting old fanzines, which I'll eventually show you. So, if this had been a full-size art book type of thing, bigger than a comic book, I think I would have felt it was worth my money. But had I seen this at a store, I might buy it for $5, not $30. I don't see the price in euros on here. And of course, since it's in Spanish, it's really, for me, only for the artwork contained herein. So it's kind of pitiful. So, yeah, bad purchase. Oh, and another thing, actually, that I'm a little miffed about is I backed putting this Alterna book, Croak, as a... on Kickstarter. I backed them putting it into a trade. And it's a mini-size trade. Again, let me get out the comic book. So that's it compared to the comic book size. And I think I paid $15 for it. Maybe that included postage, because on the back it says it's $9.95. Yeah, it's good helping creators, but it's kind of a bummer when you're getting something less than you thought. And I think it must have been a spur-of-the-moment thing for me. I must have seen it mentioned on Twitter, and I went to Kickstarter, and I was in a generous mood of, I should be, supporting smaller creators. Boy, this coloring looks really dark. I guess it's a very dark comic book, lots of dark blacks. So anyway, it might be great. I'm going to read it eventually. But a little bummed by that. But nothing compared to the ridiculousness of this Steranko book. I just want to hit myself in the head. I think that'll keep me away from eBay for a while. And this will keep me away from Kickstarter for a while. I've already been leery of Kickstarter is burning me more and more. Okay, so I'm not even... the comic book store shop owner packs these things nicely because he thinks about conditions, so he packs them going in different directions. But for showing you, that means it's going to be a bit chaotic. So for starters, on my pull list, one of my favorite books right now, Lucifer, written by Dan Waters, art by the Fiumura brothers. Right off the top of my head, I can't remember the last issue. did I read the last issue, or is it still in my pile of unread comics? I'm not sure. This is issue 5. I can remember issues 1, 2, and 3 very clearly, but what happened in issue 4? Maybe I haven't read it. Okay, very disorderly. So I realized maybe I'm starting to buy more Marvel comics again. Maybe I should have jumped on Guardians of the Galaxy because it has one of my favorite teams of creators. I didn't grab a good quality copy though. So I saw that issue 1 and 2 was available. The new Guardians of the Galaxy by Donny Cates and Jeff Shaw. And I particularly was craving more Jeff Shaw art after God Country and then the Thanos book they did together. So hopefully this holds up. I think also, since I've been enjoying As Guardians of the Galaxy, I thought, ooh, this feels so thin. I thought it might be fun to jump on that. But this isn't on my pull yet, so if I don't like these 2 issues, I won't get any more. Also not on my pull, but I thought I had it on my pull, is this book, this miniseries from Dark Horse called Light Step, that I was leery about because it turned out to be based on a video game of some sort that's about to come out. But I've really enjoyed it. It's kind of got a overarching story-ish, but each issue is kind of its own short story involving this woman from this elite planet, and then she gets expelled from her planet, sent into a quasar, which I think they must have been thinking was like being trapped in a black hole. I don't know if that... I guess as a quasar is kind of matter ejecting outside of a black hole. So yeah, somehow she got trapped in a black hole, and somehow in the second issue, these radio pirates rescued her. So now we get her adventures with the radio pirates, and each issue is on a different planet in a different situation. And it's full of slightly way out there science fiction concepts. You know, it's very far future, outer space travel, humans on all sorts of planets. The idea of the radio pirates was really cool. They collect, it's far in the future, but there's still, if you go to the right places, signals of old Earth radio that they collect and then sell. And I guess maybe that's illegal, so they are pirates. They're bootlegging it. I don't know. Another one I picked up kind of on a whim because there were both issues there was Gunning for Hits, music thriller. And I know someone, maybe David Lee, and maybe someone else was saying good things about this, so I thought I'd give it a try. I feel like I've also heard someone on a podcast or somewhere putting it down or feeling there's some racism in here or something. I don't know, but I'll judge for myself. The art didn't immediately grab me, but on the other hand, I kind of liked the colors when I was flipping through it, and I liked the fact that there were a lot of panels with a lot of dialogue, which, of course, I could come to regret if I don't like the book and I have to sludge through all the dialogue. But I'm looking forward to giving it a try. And what's this advertised on the back? Stunted growth. Or maybe it's a joke ad for like a punk band involving the issue. I also picked up Middle West number 4. I've only read number 1. I own number 2. I need to find a copy of number 3. Maybe it was foolish. I'm just anticipating that I would continue to like it. So there was only 1 copy of number 4 on the shelf. And what seems to happen is with a lot of these indie series is the shop gets less and less copies and eventually just gets copies for people who've pre-ordered it. Again, great color, fun art, but definitely pulled together by the color. The first issue was fun. I wasn't sure whether I wanted to put it on my pull, and then I got a craving to get more of this art, so I started grabbing other issues. And this is one I would have assumed I would have put on my pull. Maybe I did, and maybe my shop screwed up, or maybe I screwed up. A new Aftershock book called Stronghold. I can't remember what it's about, but I know I read about it in previews a while back. And it's by Phil Hester and Ryan Kelly. So that definitely makes it something worth trying out, taking a look at. The colors look pretty good. I'm not as big of a Ryan Kelly fan as some people, but he is worth checking out. The colors are by D. Cuniff. D. Cuniff. And that cover looks really cool. So we'll see what this is about. Stronghold. And a Valiant one, which I decided to pick up since I saw a copy there. Incursion number 1, 1 of 4. It is written by Andy Diggle, who I have had mixed results with Andy Diggle, especially in recent times. I think he's a bit of a gun for hire these days, but never does a bad job. And the art looked pretty good. And I'm not sure what this one's about, but I wonder if it's connected to the stuff that came out of Divinity that's now affecting Exo Man of War 2. And from the cover, I assume it's the Eternal Warrior is the main character. So anyway, we'll see what that's about. I'm kind of looking forward to that. Another one I picked up off the shelf, a one-shot from Marvel, Love Romances. Maybe I should have put this back on the shelf. The art looks horrible inside. Art and coloring, to me, just not my thing at all. It just does not draw me in. But there's part of me that wants to see a return of kind of cheesy romance comics. I actually, started getting these kinds of things for my sister. Let's call my daughter my sister. That's Freudian, isn't it? For my daughter, like Millie the Model and Chili, Millie's Frenemy. Really enjoyed those. I doubt these are on that level. Oh, this art looks pretty good. So there's like 4 very short stories in here. This is another very thin Marvel comic. So there must be like 5 pages each. And one of them I noticed is colored by Tamara Bonvillain, so at least that will be good. So yeah, I'll check that out. The other 2 one-shots I got also both had terrible art in them. Well, particularly, what was it? Creatures on the Loose or Haunt of Horror? It was a horror one. It had terrible, terrible art. It had the script by Al Ewing, which is what made me interested in. Well, sure to have a solid script and great art and awesome, excellent coloring is Evolution Song. As I've said before, all about the coloring in that one for me. Really, really ties the book together. I'm still thinking about coloring a lot. I'm bitching about coloring a lot lately, to myself inwardly, or perhaps to you sometimes, because I'm noticing coloring ruining comics again. There was a time where coloring seemed to really ruin comics in, what was it, the late 90s, early 2000s. And then it seemed to get better, and now I'm feeling, maybe because there's too many comics being put out, or maybe because I'm getting pickier about color. That might be a bit of both. But this looks good inside. This is Exo Man of War, issue 24. They always do 3-issue arcs, so I think this is the beginning of a new arc. It looks like it's called Hero. So I'm a little sad because the last artist was Juan Jose Ripe, one of my favorites. But this is a very good artist who works for Valiant a lot, Tomás Girarello. And the coloring by Diego Rodriguez. It may get a little too looking like a painted comic sometimes, I found with Exo Man of War, but this looks like a good balance. Damage, is this ending at issue 15? I'm not sure. I have totally, at first I was kind of not admitting that I liked this comic, but I was getting it anyway. But this has become my fun, cheap thrill the 13-year-old boy inside of me comic. Especially fun having Damage interact with the Justice League, and now he's on some kind of monster island or dinosaur island, so I'm looking forward to seeing that. I'm sure it'll only take a few minutes to read. Supposedly scripted by Vendetti, but in the hands of Lopresti, the artist. It's always a solid, fun visual treat in the old-fashioned superhero comics way. And boy, I'm really digging the latest Doctor Strange, couple of issues. So, but continues this way. There's a certain sense of recapitulating this whole "what is the cost of my power" kind of thing. But it's being done so well and with such good art and snazzy writing that it's fun. It's a lot of fun. So Mark Waid's doing a good job. Jesus Saez is doing an extremely good job. So good, solid comics. And last but not least, Lord knows what will be in this issue of Savage Dragon. All kinds of weird sexual stuff last time. And, I know the ant has appeared before and maybe had his or her, I think the ant's a her, own comic book for a short while, miniseries, and then appeared most recently in my memory in some of those Spawn issues that Larson was involved with, or maybe just after Larson was done with them, and I bought a few more issues of Spawn after his run on it before I gave up. So yeah, of course, it always looks the same. It's very reliable. You're going to get Eric Larson, bright colors, big action. He's a master of what he does at this point, whatever that is. Oh, and then backup stories too. So it looks like maybe a backup story that's a bit of a flashback, perhaps. I think the backup stories are usually written by Larson and done by other people. Oh, it looks like the backup story involves the ant too. So maybe it's directly involved. I'll have to see. Directly involved with the current storyline. That will be unusual. And little comic strips on the back. So yeah, Savage Dragon is a lot of fun. Okay, I managed to stretch that little haul out pretty long. Thanks for joining me. I will probably be back soon with some comic book thoughts. If you want a lot of comic book, recent comic book talk, I was on the Comic Book Roundtable on Travis Oddfellow Thoughts channel this past Saturday night, and we talked for 3 hours and 22 minutes. And I can't believe how long we went. And we probably covered about, I don't know. I had 14 comics. I don't know how many he had, but we had quite a number where we had read both. But we just had a lot to say. So talk to you all later. Bye-bye.